I'm going to share with you the story of a woman who I met yesterday because her story deserves to be told. This woman came into the Pilates studio looking for relief from the pain that she's been experiencing for the last 6 months. That's common for us when somebody comes to the studio and they want to get helped with their pain. No problem. But I always wonder what's behind that. Why is somebody in pain? What's actually happened in their life for them to be experiencing pain? Well, so I sit down with this woman and I invite her to tell me whatever she wants to tell me of her story. And I prompt her with some really simple questions like, what is it that you're feeling in your body? Where do you feel the pain? What do you think may have happened to be feeling this? Well, the woman straight away starts to go into her story and she assumes that I know it because her story was plastered all over the news. But I don't watch the news, so I've never heard her story before. So she tells me that in December, it's now the end of May, she was in a horrific car accident when she was driving back out of town. This woman, she's in her 70s and she lives on a farm by herself. Her husband has passed away and her children have moved down south. So she's come into town to get supplies for the animals, to go to an appointment, and she's meant to catch up with a friend for coffee. And the coffee date is cancelled, so she's on her way home a little bit earlier than what she expected. She's just out of town and she's hit the 110 kilometre an hour zone, so she's driving at 110 kilometres an hour. Forensics tell her after the fact that the boy that she collided with was driving at 150 kilometres an hour when they impacted each other head on. The boy died on impact. He had fallen asleep at the wheel. She woke up to all of her airbags having gone off, so she was completely squashed behind her airbags. Her seatbelt was on. She looked next to her and her Labrador dog was sitting there, dazed, staring at her, wondering what the heck just happened. She looks at her windscreen and sees that her Chihuahua has literally splattered on the windscreen and died on impact. As she comes to, she realizes that the car is facing in the opposite direction to where she had been heading, and the fire department is cutting her out of the car, which is completely folded up. She's taken to hospital and she stays in hospital for 4 days before she's sent home because she doesn't have any broken bones. Her internal organs are okay. They'd sent her home with some pain medication to the farm where she lives on her own, a 74-year-old woman. She knows that the boy has died. She knows that the accident is not her fault. And as she starts to weep in front of me, this woman tells me that it's the first time she's ever cried since the accident. It's the first time that anybody has ever asked her how her sleep is, if she's eating well, and how she's feeling emotionally. Nobody has asked her this question, not once. Not her GP, no people in the hospital. She's never been referred to a physio. The insurance company has never offered her any compensation or any rehabilitation because, according to the hospital, she's fine. No broken bones, no internal organs have been damaged. A woman 74 years old sent home all alone while the other family is grieving the loss of their son. This woman mentions to me that she often wonders what may have happened if she did catch up with her friend for coffee that day, if she hadn't decided to go home early, if this boy may have survived. She's been told by people that there's no ways that she should have survived the accident. Instead of taking that as a sign of a miracle, this woman questions why it is that she's been left behind and why it is that the boy's family is now grieving the loss of their child. She said that when she drives out of town and back to the farm, anytime she comes in for errands, she drives past the flowers that the boy's family leaves for him fresh every week. And she asks herself that question every time. Why me? Why am I left here? Why is he gone? This woman weeps in front of me, and I can see her shoulders start to relax. The frown on her face starts to soften. She sighs deeply, and I realize that the pain that she's feeling in her body is the pain of suffering, potentially the pain of PTSD, the pain of holding on, the pain of hiding, and the pain of not having anybody to share her story with because nobody has ever asked. I'm just a Pilates teacher. I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a doctor. But I am a human being who can see when somebody is suffering and who can recognize the role that I need to play for everybody who walks in the door, and that is simply to listen to their story. After about 20 minutes of her telling me her story, I ask her if she's ready to start moving. She shrugs her shoulders, she doesn't really know. She tells me that she's only here because her chiropractor told her that she needs to be. She doesn't know what Pilates is, but she's happy to do what she's told. So we go over to the studio and I get her to lay down on her back. And we do hardly anything. If you looked in the door, you would look through the window and think that this woman is just laying on her back doing nothing, which is precisely what she needs to do. Well, we're laying here and she's doing nothing. And I talk about her core muscles, what it is that they're designed for, and what happens when other parts of the body are in pain. Sometimes those core muscles stop working intuitively, and maybe we could work together to reteach them to work better so that she feels more supported when she's moving. She tells me that she never has sensations of needing to go to the toilet since she's had the accident. She's told her GP, she told the hospital, and everybody has told her that it's just part of aging and that it may or may not come back. That's all. That's all she's been told. Nobody has given her any time to discuss with her that potentially the traumatic event that she experienced has set off alarm bells in her nervous system that has now stopped her from feeling when she needs to go to the bathroom. Nobody has told her that maybe by learning some relaxation techniques, some meditation, maybe by practicing some simple core activation, maybe not, but at least having the conversation with this woman that we can in fact rehabilitate that sensation. She assumes that it's nerve damage even though she's had all of the tests and there's no internal damage in her body. In any case, we laugh and giggle, and she tells me that since she doesn't have these feelings anymore, she just sets herself a timer, like the hard-ass farming woman who lives on her own does. She sets herself a timer 4 times a day to go to the bathroom, just in case, because her body no longer tells her this. I give her some exercises and she may or may not feel her abdominal. She really doesn't know, but it doesn't matter because I'm just listening to her the whole time. I'm not here to tell her what to do. She doesn't need to be told what to do. She needs somebody to listen to her because nobody has, not for the last 6 months. And she blames herself for the death of this child. She lives with the guilt of this family losing their son, and she feels like she should have been the one taken, even though he fell asleep at the wheel and he collided into her, and she lost one of her companions, this woman who lives alone. Every day that I work with people, I learn profound lessons. I'm just a Pilates teacher. But I am also a community member who has created a safe space for people who are living with trauma that they don't share with anybody else. And over the course of their Pilates classes, they learn how to trust humanity. They learn how to love themselves again. They learn how to accept whatever it is that's happened to them that got them to a place where they walked into the Pilates studio in the first place, which is normally a place of deep vulnerability, shame, and a loss of self-worth. Nobody comes to Pilates because they want to live their best life. Everybody comes because they feel like they've got nowhere else to turn. And it's the last port of call. What else have I got to lose? Nothing else has helped. I might as well try Pilates. So here I am, feeling a profound sense of gratitude that this woman walked into my life yesterday to tell me her story, to remind me of the importance of the role that I play in the Pilates studio, and knowing that she will now be a long-term client simply because I listened to her. So if something that you do today is true, make that something be that you listen to your people, that you give them space for them to tell their story. Don't tell them what they need to do. Just stop and listen. Because the stories that people tell us start to put their puzzle together so that we can truly help our community in a way that nobody else can help them, because nobody else is listening. These people matter so much. And this is why I continue to do the work that I do.